Okay, so once again, welcome everyone. My name is Janice and I'll be your presenter today. Okay, so today's session will be focusing on the admission process within our MESH system. Okay, so everyone would be quite familiar with our application process. So first of all, I will go through an application process overview to show you the steps, and then we'll talk more. We'll spend a bit of time on how to manage the application, as well as to wrap up, we'll go through I'll show you some helpful reports. Okay, and then now let's get started. First and foremost, if you're not familiar with our application process, this is how the process would work. Okay, so usually the application, when someone submits an application, it will come by three steps. Either number one is to do data entry from our admin staff, okay, or then there is also where student can apply directly from our public portal. Okay, and for those that has access to agent portal, your agent can actually submit application from the agent portal. All right, all of them would have incurred into the same application process, though they come from different places, but they will always land on the same 5-step process. Okay, they will come to step 1, where you would start a new application, obviously fill in all your names and details, USI, addresses, and so on. Then it will take you into second steps, where we'll collect information for the admittance, or in this case for TCSI, and or the different languages and all that. Okay, and then in step 3, this is where the actual applications will start, where the student or the application would have submitted for which course, what's the intake date, when they want to start, and so forth. Okay, because for our higher ed clients, there is an extra step in this process. I call it the step 3A, where we actually collect more TCSI data. All right. After you do this step, it comes to step 4. This step is more of, we call it the marketing steps, where you actually put in if ever there is any extra services that you guys provided, like maybe overseas healthcare, and also any emergency contacts. This all falls under step 4. Okay. After step 4, we actually give you a small summary step whereby you can actually go through all the information that you have inputted in the previous 4 steps to make sure that you get it all right. If you need to make any amendments, there is an icon, the pen and paper icon, that you click on the top right of each section to make all the corrections. Okay, and once we've done that, it will take you to the final step where you actually submit the application. So final step is where you have to upload all the required documents if you have already previously set up as a mandatory, or some documents that you needed. It's in this step. Once they have uploaded all the documents, you click submit, and then it will fall into our main application admin system. Okay, so this is the flow of it. And before we go in and set on the application, there are certain things that we need to check. We need to make sure that our offer document checklist is in place, as in step 5. Have we got all the documents that we required to start the application? So we got to make sure that we have listed all the documents we want. So I mean, this is to help you to save some time, so that the applicants can have the documents ready and submit to you already. Okay. And number 2, the most important, obviously, the intake dates. We need to know, besides knowing what courses they're going to be doing, we need to know when they want to start the course. It could be, this semester, next semesters, depending on how many intake dates you have already set up. Okay, and last but not least, the enrollment terms and conditions. This actually falls under it. Also, you can see this on step 1 of the application. So if you haven't already uploaded your term and conditions, please by all means do so. Upload a PDF copy. I can quickly show you later, where we can upload it. Every application, even though if it's submitted by your staff from the backend doing data entry, this step will still appear, and they still have to. I mean, I probably wouldn't say they have to read it, but then they will have to still bypass this, agree to bypass this step. Okay, so very quickly, once we got the application, once it will land it into the offer menu in our system. And then under manage offer menu, this is where all the application will start. Okay, the top part is kind of like our search function. Okay, so it gives you the option of using various different criteria to narrow down your search, so that you don't have to go through this one big pile of students. So you can find there's different search criteria in there. So I will go through it in the system a bit later. All right. What I want to really point out to you is once it's in here, you'll notice there's two very useful fields. This one, there's one called tracking status. So this one allows our admin team to actually track up until which stage this particular application is up to. Okay, there's also an option for those that have access to agent portal. There's also an option whereby the agent will actually see in terms of the progression of the application as well. So this is very useful status, and I'll show you how to set it up if you haven't already know so. All right. Then the next part is next to tracking status, there is admission staff. So this is very useful, helpful as well, as in we actually know who is assigned to do which application. So this way, everyone will have an ownership on certain application, and we also, we will know who to follow up with if we need to do some following up. Okay, so I will also show you how to set up the admission staff. Okay, and then we will go through some of the icons that was listed under the offer stage. Okay, so to show you how we can manage our offer. So without further ado, let me quickly flip to my application. Okay, so as I said, there is a couple of ways that we can submit an application. First and foremost, the easiest way is offers. And if you have a separate offer letter or application form, if your process is like it comes by a separate application form, and then your team would have data entry into our system, then you will go to offers and then click here under applied online by admin. Okay. Oops, sorry. Under offers and then apply by admin and start the application by clicking online application. Okay. So this will take you to that part, the term and condition part that I just showed you. Of course, if it's done by your team, they probably don't need to read the term and conditions for every application. They just simply click agree to bypass and get the application rolling. Okay. The next part that is done directly by the applicant or by the agent is they can come into your landing page, okay, and click student application. So if you click student application, then it will take you again to the same starting point. Okay, and then if you click online application, now because this is coming from, if I call it the direct applicant or the agent, whatnot, then I would say click here to read the term and conditions. Once you read, they will click here to agree before they will start the application. Okay, so agent can come here, student can come here. How do we get to here? Maybe you want to embed this URL into your website. So once they click an apply button on your URL, it takes them straight here. Okay, so this is up to you to design on your website. Now, as I said, this is to go through 5-step. If this is a 5-step process, okay, so we'll fill through any fields that has a red mark, red star asterisk next to it is mandatory. So you have to fill in all these fields, okay, in order for you to go to the next step. So just to save a bit of time, I have start off one application. If I quickly go in here, assuming that we have completed our 5 steps application, once we come in here, I have half done an application. Let me quickly show you. So if I come in here and select not submit, okay, so it does. The application could be, because students don't, or whoever that is applying don't have to finish the whole application in one go. We can save and exit and come back and do it later. Okay, so for example, in this case, I have started an application that I've saved. So I just simply go into the apply ID. Okay, so if you're going to save your application and come do later, the application ID become important because you're going to have to input the application ID to take you to that particular application. Okay, so after we have done step 1, once you click next, an automated email will have gone out to whoever that is submitting the application, advising them of the application ID, the reference ID. But I will still say it's a good idea to actually just note it down just in case. All right. So from here, we will start to submit, decide what courses and when we want to do. So this one is actually set up. I actually set this application up via the admin, meaning I'm data entering into my system directly into this main portal. So the top part is still pretty much the same. I can scroll down and say I'm looking for Bachelor of Hospitality. Now, this is where the difference is. When I'm data entering from the back end, I actually get to see some past date. Okay, so assumingly, this is my 2 semester, I actually get to see the date that is from the first semester as well as the second semester, right? And of course, because we are now in October, I have already set up my 2025 semester ones. So if this application is going to come in in 25, so I already started an intake date here. Okay, so the difference for application that is coming directly from the student or the agent is they would not see, if I toggle back, let me toggle back to 24. They wouldn't see this all intake date. They would only see the current and the future. So of course, if in this case, I can toggle to 25, but if I have another intake date, say in November, then they will see all the intake dates listed here because I'm doing it back from the back end, directly inputting into our system. But if they're coming directly from the front end, the student or the agent that is applying, they will only see the current date and the future date. Okay, so that's the difference in this part. All right, everything else would be the same. Click Add New. And then now, when I go click Next Step, it will take me to my step 3A. Okay, so this is the field that I have to fill in. So I am I'm going to select saying that I'm an Australian citizen, and then over here is I can put in my effective date. If I was here by birth, then I probably wouldn't have an effective date. It will probably be a birth date, and then say on which year which year that I finished school. I finished year 10. Okay, I can, all the fields that don't have an asterisk will be good to know basis. So it's good that you update. Okay, right. If I'm just filling out all the mandatory fields, click Save. Okay, and then say I go to my higher school attended. I just finished HSC. My mark maybe 99. Okay, and click Save. All right, so I've completed, and then when I go next, it takes me into my marketing site where it asks me where I find out all this and if I need to arrange any auxiliary services. So if your college have provide any auxiliary college services, it will be all listed down here, and I can also input my emergency contact. All right. Once if I leave everything and go next, this is the summary page. I would say go through them. If ever there's any errors, say for example, oops, I didn't catch the right birth date. So I can quickly click on this pen and paper icon. Just go in here and say, oh, no, it's actually 30th. Okay. And then scroll down and say, so I've saved, just go next. And it has been changed. So you just simply go through all this section to make sure that all the information you need is captured. Just click confirm, and you take you to the last step. Now, the second difference in terms of submitting from the front end by the applicants or our staff directly inputting into our system is here. That's the second difference. Some of the documents, like for example, I have set certified. If I have set this one as compulsory, you will see this spot will be ticked. Okay, and when I'm doing this directly data entry into our system, this field will not be a mandatory field. But if this is coming from directly the agent or the student, if this box is ticked as mandatory, then you will see that there is a little asterisk, meaning they have to upload this document. If they don't upload this document, they wouldn't be able to submit. Okay. In this case, number one, I have not set this as compulsory. And number two, because I'm doing this directly data entry into my system, so whatever compulsory will not be, as in reason why is we're giving you the benefits of doubt so you can come back and backfill this data a bit later. Okay, it's not as if you don't need to because you have listed saying you need a copy of this, but then you can just upload it a bit later. Okay, so from here we just say submit application, and the system will have gone and say, yep, this application has been submitted. Now this is the last difference in terms of the application process. Once the student or agent, once they submit the application, they will see a reference offer reference ID, obviously, but then the offer reference ID is a static number. So they will just jot it down, or they wait for, there will be an automatic email that goes out advising them of this offer ID. Okay, but because we are importing from the back end, so this ID actually becomes a hyperlink. So if I click here, it will take me directly into the application itself. So from an admin team point of view, I've inputted my application, then I can come in here and manage the whole process. Okay, so this is one way of doing. But if I say that I'm not, I'm only doing data entry, managing the offer process, I will pass over to my colleague. Then I probably won't need to worry about this part. I will come straight and go into manage offer. Okay, so I've shown you there's different criteria that we can use to narrow down our search. Okay, these are all. I've shown you the not submitted one. So you can, usually we'll leave it as all. And then if you have different campuses, then you can also choose which campus are you processing. Okay, if I say all campus, obviously we will have all the campuses, but you might have different teams that looks after different campuses. Then you can choose which campus that you're processing the application. Then of course over here is, this is now narrowing down to actual application. Do you want to process application via agent if you're submitting via agent, or if you know your student's name or certain last name, even student origin? So if I'm only processing, if my team consists of 3 persons, one looks after overseas student offshore, one looks after overseas onshore, and the other one look after a domestic student, then you can use this as a criteria to narrow down their work, to search for the applications that they have to look for. Okay, so simply, I'm just going to use course as one of my criteria, and say I'm looking for my course, and just click search. Okay, so now you see that I actually have 3 students pending in my system, right? So, and there's the tracking status and the admission staff. Tracking status obviously is to show you at which stage this is gone up to. Okay, so whoever that's processing this application will then go and say, okay, so have I gone through all my work? I'm now making the offer, and then, or do I need COE, or do I need to lodge visa, so on and so forth. So you can customize this list. Okay, how do we customize this list? Go over to admin under configuration and setup. On the right hand side, there's the offer tracking status. Okay, so you can build into it. There is this sequence 1, 2, 3, 4. It's easier if you build in different sequence, like build in the sequence, so we know, okay, first stage we received the application. All right. Correspondingly, for those that have access to agent portal, agent will be able to track the status as well, because they will get to see. So it says, I receive application, agent portal will see agent application submitted. Okay, so on and so forth. We build the list. So you can build, depending on what you need, you can build this list, and by simply taking the name of it, and then also in terms of agent, so the name in this case is application receipt. Okay, second part is correspondingly application submitted. So the agent submitted the application. Okay, there's this little option here, say allow agent to change status. You don't have to allow everyone, but for example, over here, I said offer return, saying namely agent would have received the offer, student have signed and returned the offer letter to agent, and agent needs to return it to you. Okay, so once they upload it on agent portal, return it to you, then they can change the status, state 5, into a different state, say it returns, offer returns. So it will be sitting under probably offered, and then if they will change the status to offer return, then it will come back. So when our staff, when our team goes through the application, then they will say, oh, okay, offer letter comes in. Maybe now I have to go and check the offer letter. So this is the whole process in here. The tracking status will tie into your process. Okay, so you can build them and then build the sequence and how many steps you need. Not every step that agent can need to change. There's probably only a couple of steps that you will allow the agent to change the status. All right, it's up to you. If you say, I don't want the agent to touch any of the status, I just want them to have a view only, you can also list there. Okay, for those that doesn't have access to agent portal, that's even easier. We don't even need to worry about this part. We just need to worry about the front part, so that way they correspond. Okay, and then the next part is admission staff. How do we set up? So we can go in here, and this is the list of admission. Again, you can set up the list of staff in here, but this is a little bit more tricky. Okay, so go back to admin. Under setup permission, it's a two-step process. Click this gear icon over here to first give permission to the job role. So in this case, we're choosing this, allow staff to be admission staff. Okay, and then we got to give permission to each job role. Who do we want to which job role do we want to allow to have this to become this admission staff to process the offer? All right, so we can choose maybe the offer staff, if we want the admin. So by choosing them and click upload, we'll add it into this bottom list. Once we have decided on the job role, then we will want to assign to the person. All right, so we just go into add user. In this case, say for example, I have allowed Pramesh to be able to process the admin, the offer process. I also allowed Andrew to be able to process the offer. Okay, a couple of them. And once I tick this box, say for example, for Raj, I can also tick and say, I want to let Raj to be able to process the offer, tick, and then I just tick the green tick. So this would have given permission to Raj to be able to process the offer. So if I come back here, bring up the course. And from here, you will see that Raj has been added to the list. Okay, so these are the two steps that we reckon is very helpful for you in order to manage the process. So we know until what stage the process application has gone up to, as well as who is managing. Okay, and then how to manage the process are all these icons over here. This icon is for you to preview your offer letter. So this will be the initial offer letter that with all the initial criteria that we have set up. Okay, so if all of this, if you preview it and say all of this is okay, then you can click on the green icon to approve this offer letter. Okay, if you notice there's any errors in there or you need to make any amendments, go into the tools icon, the second icon, which is the tools icon. It will then take you up into the summary page. So you just need to go through them to see which section you need to, say, for example, over here, I need to change them to, I need to change the material fees or whatnot. You just click on here to change. Okay, so for example, I'm adding my material fee, $100, and I just click save. Okay, so this way, I have saved, make the changes. All right, so there's also a few icons up in here. So if ever there is a course, maybe student come in and say, hey, I'm not actually applying for Bachelor of Hospitality Management. It was a slip. I actually want to apply for MBA. So you can come in here and make the changes. Okay, so scroll down, remove the existing course, and then add the new course in. Okay, once you have done that, the course log, so whoever that has made any changes will be logged under the course log. So that way we know who has made any specific changes. All right. And then if ever anyone that says, come back and says there is a couple of subjects that I've already done from a different provider, from a different institute, or I have had work experience for a certain MBA. If I'm going for an MBA, I might have had experience in a certain topics that I reckon that I don't need to do. Then I can go into advanced standing and set it up from here. Okay. So the list of subjects, you can just choose whichever. All right. And then just say, add data. So then this will kick off your advanced standing or your RPL process to check and verify. Students obviously have to provide documents to verify, prove that they do have that credibility to not do this subject. All right. So this is entirely different. So once you have approved, you obviously come back here, and you don't come back here, you will, this application would have already been processed. Or if you straight away can approve the subject, you can then come in here, click approve, select and approve. Okay, then this person would have had an advanced standing. Right, so you have the English test as well. If ever someone needs to, if your course needs to have an English test listed, you can list out here. Okay, and then you have obviously the documents to make sure that all the documents has been uploaded. Okay, these are a few, and then there is also the TCSI tab where you can go in and collect some information if you have them straight up during this time at this stage. Okay, then of course if you need to follow up with the student or the agent, you have the email address, the email icon to send email to either student, agent, or to both of them. Okay. All right. So this is part of it. And then once we make all the changes, you will always come back to click. Remember to come back to click the approve icon again. Okay. So it will not automatically update the offer letter. You need to approve it again. So if I click this one and say I've already approved, mainly this icon is, this offer letter is good. When you notice that the icon actually changes a little bit, you have a bit more icon. So this icon will allow you to download the latest copy of the offer letter, just in case you need to send it out, for if someone comes back and says, I need another copy of the offer letter, you can use this icon to download. Okay, then you have the email icon. So if all the offer letters are set up and correct, you can use this email icon it's the same icon as what I showed you earlier. It takes you to the same place. All right, select your recipient. If you have set up some template, you can select that. If you templated, of course, the body would have been populated. Otherwise, you tap in whatever, and then you can then attach the offer letter. If you had a payment invoice ready, you can also attach the invoice and whatever other files that you need to send to the student. Just choose there and click send. So this way you will send the email out as well as the offer letter. Okay. And if this is an overseas student, you will need to come in here to input your COE. So you would have gone to Prism to validate your COE, got the COE number put in here, any files that is supporting this COE uploaded, and then click add COE. But if your COE is not ready at that stage, for us to bypass this stage, you have to click this, check if COE is not applicable. All right, this stage will let you bypass it. So later on, you can come back and backfill this COE. All right, so I'm not going to do that because I'm going to take you into these two icons. So this little man icon is to generate the student ID, while this double little man icon is to generate a reserve ID. So, and this padlock icon is for you to pan this icon, this application, as in meaning I'm going to put this application on site, okay, aside, just to make maybe waiting for more documents, maybe you're negotiating on some different points of views and things like that. So if I need to pan this icon, pan this application, so this application is now put on hold. But if you already know that this is a sure case, we are just waiting on some minor approval, then you might want to use this reserve ID function to reserve an ID for this student. Okay, I can then say I want to reduce this as, this is my student ID. I can reserve this, and you see this is reserved. So when the application is all being formal and finalized, so we will then click on this icon, the padlock icon again, to come back into the original offer stage, okay? And then if we have made any changes, we will reapprove the offer letter again. And then this time around, we can quickly go in there and say that I am, so I need to approve, okay? And then click into this icon to say that, see how this message pop up? This is what I was trying to show you earlier. Because this is an overseas student and I have not submitted my COE. Remember, I showed you COE and I left, I do nothing, I left. Okay, so this message will pop up and tell you that because this is an overseas student, we need a COE before we can convert the student, like enroll the student into the program. Okay, so here it acts as a reminder for you to come in here. So at this stage, of course, I don't have my COE. I'm going to tick that box and click Add COE. And under COE field, you see that it's now stated as NA, not applicable. So once we converted the student and the COE is in place, you can go into student profile to change this, to add the COE. Once everything is done, I just click create the actual ID. The reserve ID that I reserved will pop up, okay? And I click generate now. Okay, because I've specifically made my ID different to the usual student ID for this system. So I'm going to say yes and then generate it. Okay, and then now you notice that that student D has dropped off the offer list. So meaning it has now converted the student into the student part. Okay, so on this part, besides the download icon and the two IDs icon, you can also generate some student invoice. Okay, as well as you can also generate agent invoices. Okay, so once you have generated these invoices, obviously then you can use the email icon to actually send the invoices over to them. All right, and then this little money back icon is actually a very useful icon. Why? Because it allows you to actually manage the if you are giving the student the option of payment plans. So this is where you would manage the payment plan for the tuition fees. You have two options. You can manage the payment plan for tuition fees, or also if you do attract some sort of miscellaneous fees, for example, material fees or whatever not, then you can also use this. There's two options. Okay, so if you say that we do not do and we don't do material fees, there's no auxiliary fees that we will need to, then just stay on the tuition fees. So in this case, for example, I'm looking for my course fees is 40,000, my upfront fees is 20,000, so I still have a remaining 20,000. Okay, so this is my invoice date start. I can say that I want to say maybe this time around I want to give it 4 installments, but in every 5 weeks. So I just get scheduled. It will schedule this for me, telling me all the dates and all that. You can go in and amend, say, for example, you don't want the date, you have negotiated the date or the amount, system will break evenly for you in terms of depending on how many installments, but you can go in and change the figure. All right, as well as it doesn't have to be in sequence. You just say 5, but you can say the last one, maybe I want to do it in 2 weeks. So between here and here is 2 weeks different. Okay, so if you do make that, just remember to click the green tick to approve it. Okay, so I'm going to leave it as it is and then just click save. And in this case, because I have amended my installment period, so I have to approve again so that my new offer letter will reflect this new payment plan. Okay, so if I click on here, this is my new payment plan, my new offer letter. Everything stays the same, but then the installment plan that I've set up is now showed here. So this goes into your offer letter. Okay, so just remember whatever fields that you make amendments, just you need to re-approve this offer letter so that it will always bring up, system will generate the new offer letter for you with the latest information. Okay, so how are we doing? I think I've overrun a little bit, but let me quickly show you in terms of reports. Okay, there is this report that okay, under reports, if we go into reports overview, okay, this is the latest layout of our screen. I find this very easy to read. Our old reporting is when you go into reports, you have to scroll through and then go through a whole list of different reports. But if you go into reports and reports overview, we actually segment and break it down for you. So it's easier to read. Okay. So for example, in this case, this is a very helpful report is to go into offer. This one, document checklist report for missing document only. So if I want to check, to look at this report and say between this date, I could have set some dates up. Okay. So these are the students that actually have some documents missing. All right. So this would help you in terms of to pull out what fields they are missing and what they need to submit, so you can follow up with them. Okay. So this is a very useful report that you can use. There's another report, say under, for example, you're keeping a track of, wanted to know how many reports that is okay, so if I go into applications, why is it not coming out? There is a under application, there should be an account that says that tells you how many application that is unsubmitted. Over here. There you go. So unsubmitted application by start date. So we can check if we just want to tidy up to make sure that, to check why is there so many unsubmitted application. Maybe we can follow up with the agent or the student, or for our staff, we know which applications that we have half done that we need to complete. We can use this report, set a date range to pull it out. Okay. So if I say from then, have I start any application that is undone, that's not done? I'm pretty good. My report is clean. So this is good, right? So there is various different reports that we can use. The other useful one is under pre-enrollment. Okay, under pre-enrollment, there's also a list. Say, for example, I need to know number of students by origin between two start date. So maybe I want to say I want to know from January the 1st to December. Okay, so these are the students from all the different origin that were listed. Okay, this is very helpful in terms of where we have to capture the data to know how many new overseas student head counts. I think this is a new field that is newly introduced, so you can use this report to pull out and see as well. Okay, so coming back to my slide. All right, we've gone through a few of the icons, and then we also showed you some of the offers. So these are all the offers, the reports that we think is very helpful. So please go through them and see if they are helpful to you. Okay, so last but not least, this will conclude my today's session. Thank you very much. I have overrun quite a fair bit, so thank you for your patience. Let's come back to the session. Is there any questions? I see everyone seems to be quite good. There is no question. Okay, I'm going to attach this PowerPoint. Okay, so this is pretty much the end of my session. I will attach the PowerPoint now to the chat so that you can download it. Okay, so the chat is now up. If you can see from the chat, the webinar PowerPoint is now available. I'll stop the recording now.